Well, friends, good evening. And this is a concept today we have to study pertaining to the lifting of corporate veil, where the exception to the principle of independent corporate entity laid in the Solomon versus Solomon Company Limited case has to be studied, where under extraordinary circumstances the court intervenes and then the corporate will is lifted. Friends, the lifting of corporate will is twofold. One is under various statutes, and the other one is under these provisions. I mean, the application of common law by the courts intervenes with this particular doctrine. Wherein, friends, if you take the legislations, there are multiple legislations. One legislation, I already explained it to you earlier, that is income tax laws and then other fiscal legislations. The other one is the section 2, in fact, 46, read with section 128 of the Companies Act, holding company and subsidiary company. Then, friends, Section 12 of the Companies Act also I told you that is on misdescription of the name of the company and then the depiction meticulously to be made of the name and then other particular details of the company. And then in this case, I told you about Hendon versus Edelman, where the directors made a check and then the company's name is to be put as L&R agencies, but they have put LR agencies. They were held personally liable. And then same is the case with Penrose versus Marcher and Nesatio, Marcher and Nesatio Steam Press versus Tyler. And then subsequently, I told you section 88 with regard to maintenance of registers of the Companies Act. With this background, friends, we have to now come to the second aspect. That is, now in detail, we have to see the fraud or improper conduct on the part of the company where the corporate wheel could be lifted. Friends, here the courts refuse to uphold the separate existence principle and then use certain exceptions to the doctrine of doctrine laid in Solomon and Solomon Company Limited case. So this is one best example where there is fraud or improper conduct detected. The courts would not accept the separate entity principle. Courts would then, under exception, lift the corporate wheel. So this is the most important citation: Guilford Motor Company versus Horney, 1933, Chancery Division. In this case, Horney was appointed as a managing director of the plaintiff company on the condition he shall not, at any time while he holds the office or demits his office, entice any customers of the company. In fact, in corporates, there is a foul practice. The seniors would start up another company simultaneously, slowly entice the customers of this company. Once their company is full there, they will leave this company. And ultimately, this company will be left in lurk and it will go for winding. This is a big corporate fraud. Internationally, it happens sometimes. That is the reason why this particular condition was put. And subsequently, his employment, the managing director employment was determined under the agreement, and then he opened a separate business in the name of a company which solicited the plaintiff's customers. So the court of law then interfered and said, we lift the corporate veil. It is an exception now to the doctrine of Solomon versus Solomon Company Limited case. This is fraud, there is improper conduct, and this new company is a mere sham on clock, and it is started for the purpose of committing breach of his covenant. Henceforth, we would not accept this, and they said this company cannot go ahead with its activities. So now you understand what is fraud and improper conduct. Similarly, on this particular lines, there is one more case, same facts and circumstances, but you can take it that also. Jones versus Lipman. Jones versus Lipman. Now, friends, there is a second principle, that agency or trust. This is a very important subject, wherein the second condition, in the event the company is found to be the agency or trust of the shareholders or the directors, It is directors who are supposed to be the agents. And if you find the company is working as an agent of the directors or the shareholders, then the corporate wheel would be lifted, company would be closed down, and then the directors or others who would be there would be held personally responsible. So this is the most important aspect. Company should never become the agent of the shareholders or directors. The directors are the agents of the company. This is the aspect you are supposed to understand. Now the third principle is under which corporate will could be lifted. Public policy and determination of character. That is, under public policy, country's safety, welfare, there could be a kind of these circumstances where corporate wheel could be lifted. And then apart from that, there could be judgment of the character of the company also. If you find that one finds that company's character is not good and it is detrimental to the public interest, national interest, definitely under such circumstances, the corporate wheel could be lifted. In this case, what is important is that the protecting public policy and preventing transactions contrary to public policy are extremely important. One best citation is Nordenfelt, Nordenfelt, Nordenfelt versus Maxim Nordenfelt. And the second case, Connors, Connors, Connors Limited versus Connors. These are the two important citations. And the most important third citation, which could be invariably to be written in the examination, there could be a 20 marks question on this, that a full-fledged details have to be given. The third case is Daimler Company Limited versus, anybody knows? Daimler Company Limited versus Continental Tire and Rubber Company. Daimler Company Limited versus Continental Tire and Rubber Company, 1916. I told you the cases on company law by Seeley, Scaley, contains almost all these cases. And then that would be useful for your PhD also if you want to do PhD in future. That is the reason why that book you can purchase and then you can place it in order in Flipkart or so and so. And then originally it is 15,000 rupees, but here in Indian edition, you will get it for some 800 or 900, whatever it is. So you can make best use of that opportunity and take benefit out of it. This company, Daimler Company Limited, was incorporated in England. Remember, it was incorporated in England for the purpose of selling in England tires manufactured in Germany by a German company. Now what happened? There was a company incorporated in England with an objective to sell tires. Those tires were not manufactured in
England.
They were manufactured in Germany.
Germany.
And the company which manufactures those tires held the bulk of shares of this English company. That means this company in England is the subsidiary of the German company. German company is the holding company. Okay? There is a link now. See, a company incorporated in Britain is a British company. Company incorporated in Germany is a German company. But parent company is German company, which manufactures tires, sends to England. Through this England company, which is its subsidiary, it sells. Then it collects the money and takes it back to Germany. Now you understand the logic. There is flow of tires to England. Flow of money from England to Germany. I hope now you understand. At this juncture, what happened? the holders of the remaining shares except one, and all the directors of the company happen to be Germans residing in Germany only. So virtually, by namesake registration, it is an English company, but it is virtually managed, run, and shares are owned by Germans
Germany.
in Germany. It is a German company. Right. Now the real control vests in Germany. Now, during the at that time war, it was 1916. 1916. So at that time, war was there. So I think it could be First World War. I remember. So First World War, sir.
Yes.
Yeah,
World War One.
First World War. At that time, what happened? The English company started a suit and legal action to recover trade debts from Englishmen and collect and send it to Germany. Because there would be trade debtors. Debtors are Englishmen. The tithes were purchased by Englishmen. So the company in England filed suits against them and wanted to recover money, then send them to Germany. Now the objection that took place is that it is an enemy company, even though registered in England, and the enemy company is selling enemy product to us, collecting our money, sending into enemy country, and enemy country will be richer, and tomorrow that money will be used against us in arms. This is called the character and public policy. Public policy is that now there is a war, all transactions stand suspended. Contracts become void. Agreements becoming void? No. Contracts become void because the
Enemy nature.
diplomatic relationship ceased. Once diplomatic relationship ceases, contractual relationships will turn void. I hope now you understand. This is the most important aspect, linking up Companies Act to the Contract Act. So now the court of law had to take a stand that this is company is basically neither could be loyal nor disloyal. It cannot be a friend or foe to anybody, but it may assume an enemy character under circumstances where the control is somewhere, and then where there is a danger of the country's money eroded to help an enemy. So the court held that this is a fit case to lift the corporate wheel and then hold that the particular English company cannot recover money until this war is concluded. During that period, no question of enforcement of any contracts, so that question of recovering money and sending into Germany will not arise. So this is a beautiful judgment. We have to understand that is Daimler Company Limited versus Continental Tire and Rubber Company Limited, where an enemy character is concerned, corporate wheel could be lifted. But friends, there is an American case in 1908 where it was found that, held that, where there is no such danger of country's safety, corporate will shall not be lifted. Prima facie, the courts sustain, respect the principle of corporate entity, independent corporate entity, and the courts, in fact, will not interfere unless there are extraordinary circumstances. That is the reason why the first example I gave you as fraud or improper conduct. Second example is agency or trust. Third example is the character, enemy character, determination of character, and public policy. Under this, there is one more citation, friends. This is 1908 American case, People's Pleasure Park Company. People's Pleasure Park Company versus Row Leader. People's Pleasure Park Company versus Row Leader. ROHLEDER. In this case, certain land was transferred by one person to another, perpetually enjoining the transferee from selling the said property to colored persons. In America, that problem was there. Colored, black and white. So,
Black and white.
so X has transferred to Y, telling him don't transfer it to anybody, any blacks, black persons, colored persons. But this guy transferred it to a company, and that company consists of only Negroes. So now this matter was taken to the court of law. American court said this particular principle, plea cannot be accepted. They said company is independent. It may consist of several colored people. Tomorrow, if the shares are transferred, it will be with the white people. So we cannot take that kind of plea. They said here, this corporate wheel cannot be lifted. So friends, that is how it went on. In the same way, the next example, fourth one is enemy, third one is enemy character, fourth one is with regard to state revenues. What is state revenues? This is a case called Re Sir Dinshaw Manekji Petit. Re means reference. Re Sir Dinshaw Manekji Petit. This was 1927 Bombay High Court judgment, where the Bombay High Court held that the company was to avoid super tax, and then it has formulated where it was found that it is nothing more than the SSE. So the SSE was a wealthy man enjoying huge dividends and interest and income, and it was found that it is a sham, so that with protection of state revenue, they lifted the corporate wheel, and then whatever is done here ultimately has been disapproved, and then it was accounted for, saying that the company is nothing but virtually agency of the individual shareholders. So friends, basically the question comes here today that a corporate entity is concerned, the corporate wheel, it is to be lifted. How the corporate wheel could be lifted, under what circumstances? In fact, I have taken up about 14, 16 important judgments on corporate wheel, lifting of corporate wheel, starting from AR 1965 to almost coming up to 2019. So I will put it in WhatsApp. This particular list, I will make out updated, and then I will put it in WhatsApp with the heading cases on lifting of corporate wheel. Cases on lifting of corporate wheel. This itself is a independent 20 marks question. It is an important topic of unit 2, and then it is the backbone of corporate entity. So those particular 15, 16 cases, you please download and sorry, make out a print, and then make out a booklet that would be of great help to you, even for your research purpose, either for LLM thesis or PhD also. So friends, today we have discussed about lifting of corporate wheel under statutes, under
Common law.
statutes, income tax act, and then the negotiable instruments act, various other corporate laws, and then companies act. Under the common law, the fraud, agency or character, and then state revenue. These are all the circumstances under which corporate wheel could be limited. lifted. So now I have given you a panoramic view and then intricate cases also. And then I have just again recapped the whole thing. With this background, you can prepare a beautiful answer for a 20 marks question. Conceptually, you can also get prepared with regard to lifting of corporate wheel. Examination point of view also. This much you write. You can supplement it further with Pennington law and then the particular Ramaya you can see for some time, and then you can see the Avatar Singh company law, which I have already told you, and then Taxman's publication also on company law. Well, it is up to you. Take these particular books and further supplement, but mainly these cases I gave you, you must thoroughly, in fact, put that in the examination point of view. So thank you very much. And then we have got a lovely session today. Several people attended. Mr. Khan, Akhileshwari, Anushri, Arun, Murthy, Keshavalu, Rohit, Shashreka, Ved, Yeshudas, very nice. More and more, I will be encouraged. And then I will have more, inspiration. So definitely, it would be a great deal. And then we'll meet again tomorrow at same time, 6:30, and then we'll proceed further. Meanwhile, maybe a day or two, I will prepare, and then when there is a holiday where we don't have a class, I will put that in the WhatsApp. That day class will be
Tomorrow,
this particular
tomorrow
set of
topic, sir.
cases.
Sir, tomorrow topic, please.
Tomorrow, I'm going to deal with friends. With this background, we conclude our discussion on corporate characters and then wheel. Tomorrow, I'm going to deal with company and citizenship. Company and citizenship. And what is the status and what are the judgments of Supreme Court in this particular regard? Whether a company is a citizenship, as a separate topic. That's why today I don't want to mix it up. Almost it's 1 hour since we are here. So I thought tomorrow we will afresh start it off and then exclusively deal with that. So that in YouTube also, that topic will be separately taken into. That is how I think we can plan it up. So tomorrow we will meet again. Thank you very much, all. Good night. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.
See you.